What's up, YouTube? So I want to discuss some things just because of the whole C8 Z06 crazy phenomenon going on. Everybody wants one. Everybody wants a Z07 package. Everybody, you know what I mean? Everybody's buying one. Everyone's getting the most extreme car. Well, this video is probably for the people that are going to buy a car and kind of don't know what they're getting into, and maybe some forewarning if you plan on getting the C8 Z06, especially the Z8 Z06 Z07 with the carbon brakes and the carbon rims. But I'll get into that secondly. Firstly, the Z06 in any form comes with a flat plane crank, dual overhead cam V8. As we all know, sounds great. High RPMs, yada yada, low torque. Remember that. It's not going to be as torquey. You're going to have to keep it in the high revs in order to feel like it's a peppy car, kind of like a Ferrari or a Lambo. But that being said, the flat plane crank motors that are high revving and doing that sort of stuff puts a lot of wear and tear on the main bearing. So not only does it spin faster, meaning that the actual crank spins faster in the journal, causing more heat and wear, obviously. The pistons, whenever they fire, it's a lot more forceful up and down motion because they're firing half as often as they would in a cross plane crank. So in a cross plane crank, it distributes the force more evenly across the crank and across the bearings. So what does that mean? That means typically on a flat plane crank car like a Lamborghini or a Ferrari, you need to service your main bearings at about 50 to 60,000 miles. And that's all flat plane crank engines. Cross plane cranks, like say my C7 Corvette or even the base C8, those cross plane crank engines can do, personally I've done 100,000 miles on a Corvette and it ran great. It was a manual car, wasn't an auto, it was a C7, but it ran great the entire time. It was flawless, honestly. I feel like I didn't have to do anything but put oil in it and change brakes and, you know, service some little things here and there. But the C8 Z06 is going to be one of those cars that's going to be a maintenance nightmare. If it's not going to be something you probably would like to put a lot of miles on. And as this channel goes, I bought literally the car I'm in. I haven't really talked about it much yet. I bought it because I want to put a lot of miles on it, and I want to be able to show you how you can daily drive a car like this for a lot of miles, like hundreds of thousands of miles. I want to see how many miles I can put on it. I didn't think the DCT and the C8, the base C8, would have made it through even that test. And now, not only do you have an unchanged DCT, besides maybe a few pumps and filter parts, which is what they updated in the Z06 C8 car. I feel like not only now is the trans going to be a weak link and a big potential service item, this flat plane crank engine is going to be a huge service item. It's going to be the next weak link. And I mean, I guess time will tell, but that's just one thing you guys who are all on the list for a Z06 need to consider. Now, if you get the C7 or the Z8 Z06 Z07 package, yeah, you get all the canards, the dive planes, the carbon wing, and you can get the level 2 carbon interior package, which is great. But the car is going to be stiffer. It's probably going to come up with coilovers, a lot like the ZL11LE. It's probably going to come with coilovers rather than magnetic ride. So it's going to be much stiffer, and you're not going to be able to adjust that stiffness. That being said, I don't know if you guys remember in the C7 Z06 Z07 package, they were cracking the cast wheels. A lot of people were cracking them in sport mode, and because it was just a firmer ride, just took the damage on a bump generated, went straight to the wheels. Now that being said, this car is going to be just as stiff, if not stiffer. They say 30% stiffer. We'll see. So it's going to be stiffer with a much more fragile wheel, in my opinion. Yes, carbon's strong, but it doesn't. An epoxy carbon doesn't have a whole lot of flex to where it won't crack or make a blemish, or I would say a damage mark, to where if you crack or damage one of these rims, I'm sure they're going to be compromised to where you then would not want to do crazy track driving on them. So that's just one thing you want to think about. So not only are they going to be able to be damaged easier, I believe, especially if you got some idiot with a tire machine mounting and dismounting tires, especially track tires, you're probably going to find some wear and tear on there pretty soon. They're probably about $5,000 a piece if you buy them individually from GM out of warranty. I'm sure you're not going to want to buy them from anybody that's not GM because they'll be insanely priced. Let's go to the carbon ceramic brakes. Same thing. If you have carbon ceramic brakes, yes, they stop amazing, but they're like $3,000 per rotor. So that's like $12,000 for a set for your car. And I mean, I don't know about you, but me, for daily driving, especially if I want to put a lot of miles on a car, I don't want a wear item that's $3,000. And people say, if you don't track the car, carbon ceramic brakes can last the lifetime of the vehicle. That's true. But one pebble gets into your wheels in between your brake and that pad, and you ruin the pad and the rotor. So metal brakes aren't like that. You can have metal brakes turned and all kinds of stuff. Even like I said earlier with the ZL11LE for the suspension, it's a great track vehicle. It comes with metal brakes, two-piece metal brakes. They're just better wear items. That's why they come that way. It's much more economically sensible. But I don't know. So most people, I'll just say this. If you want a C8 Z06, get a nice interior package. Get a 3LZ or a 2LZ. Get all the carbon interior parts. Make it beautiful on the inside. But get the soft suspension. If you really want the wing, add the wing later. Get it with no wing. Have the holes filled with the low wing and have the high wing added. Get the dive planes added if you have to have those visual appeals. For the carbon rims, I'll tell you, I have, a lot of people are going to laugh and say that this probably isn't true, but I have a #1 allocation spot for a Z06. I've agreed with this #1 spot to order a 3LZ, Z06, Z07 with the level 2 carbon and the carbon rims and blah, blah, blah. I did that because I told them I'd order the top of the line car for getting the #1 allocation. That being said, I would probably take my carbon rims off immediately and run it with something else. As for the brakes, I'll honestly, if I could find a nice set, or if I could buy a brand new set of Z06 metal brakes, I would just run the metal brakes and calipers until I was ever going to track it, or that way at a later date I could just reinstall the brakes and the carbon rims and it's like the brand new if I'm ever going to sell it, or if I want to go to a show or something and show them off, because they're beautiful and they work great, but it's like the pluses you get for them for the cost isn't really worth it, in my opinion. Especially if you're not going for, like, I understand if you're going for a track time and if you beat this other team or this other driver, you win all kinds of accolades and money, and the brand goes further. But if you're just track driving at your local track, why waste $20,000 worth of rims and $13,000 worth of brakes? It doesn't make sense to me. If you're just, especially to learn the car, you could learn the car for a year on the metal brakes and regular magnesium rims, and then you put those carbon rims on and carbon brakes. You're just gonna enhance that later experience. You don't, especially if you're just driving it for the first, second, 10th time. If you're just getting used to the vehicle, why use such crazy wear items? But that's just my opinion. Take it with a grain of salt. Comment below if you agree, disagree, if you want to add anything. But for now, that's it. Take it easy and see y'all next time.